Hey, welcome. This is General Service Public Works Committee. Mr. Gookin on my right, your left, and I'm Woody McEvers. And Kiki is out there somewhere. I think it's a payback for the one I missed. Anyway, it is April 22nd. It is a little afternoon, and we're here for you. We're going to move ahead here on a couple of items, see if Kiki shows up. First up is Bill Greenwood. Welcome, Bill. This is a request for approval to enter into a lease with Majestic Eagle LLC.
You're not getting your yard work done, Councilman, yet?
Pizza,
too cold.
pizza?
Is it under control?
No, it's too cold.
Oh. Are you going to make it to Arbor Day this coming Friday?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're out at Atlas again.
Yeah, I saw Nick and I told him I'd be there.
Good. Well, we've had a vendor at the Independence Point parking lot for 30-plus years, and the gentleman that were doing it before sent us notice that they didn't want to continue. They're having some difficulty with staffing. Mm-hmm. So we put it out for bid, and we didn't get any responsive bidders. A week or so later, a gentleman came in and talked with Kelly about a permit for a brick and mortar place that he was opening up at the old Firehouse Subs location, and mentioned to him about this. He happened to have a mobile concession up in Rathdrum having pizzas. So he came in, chatted with me, and we worked out some numbers that were acceptable by him. My Park and Rec Commission liked it as well. So we're here to talk about pizza at Independence Point for your approval.
Questions?
Yes. Thank you, Woody. How do these fees compare to the old fees that we were charging?
They're a little less, but instead of the CPI, I did something different with this one. Right? You know, we see the CPIs, and it's not much of an increase. He wasn't certain how well he would do there, so you see some big number increases. Mm-hmm. The end is what I wanted at the beginning, so we ended up getting where we could have a vendor there. I thought it was important to have a vendor there.
And no beer.
No beer.
This is a curious thing when I read the contract. Why do we have a section in here regarding Chinese ownership?
I don't know.
Because our state legislature requires that for any contracts that a governmental entity enters
I
into.
figured that was coming from somewhere, and so it just, I don't know if you've read that, but Lisi certifies that it is not currently owned or operated by the government of the People's Republic of China. And I don't think I've ever seen that in any of our contracts before.
Well, you'll be seeing it quite often. It's in all of
wow.
our public works contracts.
Okie dokie.
Right. I have a question. So this is going to be pizza, or is there other things he can do also?
Well, he'll have some soft drinks, and I don't know, he'll like breadsticks, and, you know, there'll be walk-away slices and then whole
wow.
pizzas, and he might have another, maybe calzone on his list, I'm not certain.
So we haven't done pizza there before.
No,
huh?
never, no.
But no beer. Oh, just kidding. Just kidding.
Well, you guys work it out.
All right. So what do you think? Can we put
I
it on
think,
consent? or
I'll
just
make a
two of
motion
us?
to recommend the council approve the lease agreement with Majestic Eagle LLC to provide food concessions, pizza, for the 2024, 25, and 26 seasons at Independence Point. We can put that on the consent calendar.
So
Thank you.
moved. And second. And thanks, Bill.
Thanks.
Keep the trees going.
Here comes the big one.
Uh-oh. Hi, Renata. Welcome.
That's referring to the topic here.
I hope that's what we're referring to.
This is a request for fee amendments and civil penalties.
Civil penalties, yes. So I try and bring some fee amendments once a year so we can kind of keep up on city expenses. This one is a little delayed this year. I've been working with all the departments trying to bring this forward as one big package. So I know it's a lot of information. We're not having a public hearing on this until May 7th, so there's still some time to have dialogue and questions. The Idaho Code requires that any fee increases in excess of 5% have to be done by resolution at a public hearing. So as you know, we often bring you these packages where we're changing some wording on there. Some of the fees are less than 5%, but it's really important for us to kind of keep them in a consolidated package so we know what each department is charging and when those increases have happened. So I'm just going to be the speaker on this subject matter. We got lots of subject matter experts behind me to answer some of your hard questions after the presentation. But I will go through each department in briefly what it is that they're proposing and then stand for many questions. It's all good. We've got the resources here today. So under the administration department, we have all of the parking fees. So all of the fees that are included in here have been reviewed by Parking Commission, but unfortunately they didn't have a quorum at their meeting, so they couldn't make a formal motion. But Stephanie has provided it to the Parking Commission members, and they expressed no concerns with these increases. So what you're gonna see in there is a double, or twice as much of a fine for civil penalties. They did some research on what the fines were being charged across the region, and so they kind of came up with $40 as a good price increase for our area. And this will be citywide for all parking civil penalties now. So this will be what the police tickets are also being charged, so we don't have a bunch of different fees at different levels. So sometimes the police department will issue tickets for parking the wrong direction or other things in residential zones, but this will also be within our parking lots. So some of the paid parking lots, they'll still continue to give out that first courtesy notice of, hey, you forgot to pay, next time you come, you're gonna get the ticket. We also have mortgage fees. They were $35 a day, or no, we didn't have them listed. Previously, they were hourly. Now we're allowing that $50 mortgage overnight. So we wanted to make the civil penalty equal to the parking fine. Otherwise, it's cheaper to get the civil penalty than to actually pay the mortgage fees. So we made those equal. Staff also reviewed the fees in the different parking lots, and based on the demand and location, they increased fees accordingly. So you'll see lots of changes throughout the parking lots. Some parking lots didn't specifically note that they have a parking pass available, so we wanted to make it clear that that parking pass is available to those parking lots that we listed in the fee outline.
Could I ask a quick question, because we'll go past this? So parking overall, permit fees have been upped. How about the folks that are from out of state compared to locals on the hourly? Have we got there yet?
No, we have not charged differently based on your license plate. It's
Okay.
just a fee for parking overall.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Yep. So the finance department is in charge of the fees related to your garbage rates. So as you saw from the staff report, that is a category that we have only increased 2 times over 20 years. Our current contract with Coeur d'Alene Garbage allows them to charge the city an addition of 2.75% annually, and we've not passed any of that increased price on to the customers. So this new fee structure is taking under consideration the actual costs that the city has for garbage increases, and then you'll see some of the big increase comes for some of those commercial accounts, and that has to do with the category of hauling. And I'm not exactly sure what that is or when it becomes appropriate, but it is definitely a fee for service. And there are not a lot of accounts that are affected by that, according to the finance department. Additionally, they have the street light fees, and we have done a 3-year spread of increases annually, and that has now ended with this year. So this continues for another 2 years of 5% increases to the street lighting fee.
I have to ask, is that going to bring us even, Troy? Is that going to pay the bill? Almost?
Correct, almost.
Okay.
Okay, the Municipal Services Department has a lot of fees associated with permits and licenses. So we really just took an overall increase of 5% to all our fees based on staffing, merit increase, cost of living increase being 5% this last year, just to make an equal increase across the board. We didn't previously have a fee set aside for loudspeaker, sound trucks, so we added that fee in, and we just made it equal to an encroachment permit because that's really an additional use on a city right-of-way, so we felt it was equal to an encroachment permit. But again, that's not a fee that we've ever had to charge. We've never actually had somebody apply for it and get approved. It'd be very unusual to issue that permit. Okay, and then the beer and wine and liquor fees are all set out in state code. So we aren't allowed to just make up our own fee. It has to be a certain percentage of what the state charges. But we've never listed that fee into our fee resolution and structure. So although it's guided by the state code, we really felt it would be appropriate to put it into our fee structure. And then we took two categories and put them into one. We weren't sure why originally selling beer in a bottle or can was different than selling it draft, so we just made that into one category. Those licensees will be notified, and it will come at the time of renewal, so they have a year from this last March to know the new fee structure, but again, it's set by state code. Then there's a category we created for a citywide emergency locate fee for non-emergencies. So this is one that we worked with the utility department, streets and engineering, and my IT division, because they have to go out and do the call before you dig notifications. According to the state, we have like 3 days in order to get out there from the call to go out and mark where our lines are. What they have as a category there, emergency locates, and then you have less time to get out there. What we're finding is some people will call it as an emergency and you'll get out there and it really isn't. It's just a lack of planning on their end, or they just wanted it done faster. So in that case, we do have some leeway. We can't charge for the actual original locate. But if we find that it was a non-emergency and they called it in as an emergency, we can set a fee. So that is what the departments agreed upon and felt that it would be enough to discourage folks from using that functionality. The Parks and Recreation Department is increasing a couple fees based on the staff rate. So you'll see that they've increased the tennis court rental fee and the league fees. The league fees are less than 5%, but again, that's one that we want to keep track of, so we're including it in this.
I have a quick question.
Yep.
We charge for tennis, do we charge for pickleball? Are they two different games, or are they the same game?
I do not know. I'm thinking.
couldn't hear you.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Do you charge pickleball court rentals the same as tennis court rentals?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
There you go.
Sorry.
You just want to get the pickleball players, right?
That's
More
why
them than there are
everybody's in the
playing
same
tennis,
thing,
yeah.
taking their tennis.
They're just using the same courts.
2 for 1.
Okay, the planning department has taken some time to really analyze their fees. They've reorganized, renamed, and really looked at the amount of staff time that it takes for each of these fees. Again, these are specific user fees that are pertaining to development, and so it's important to pass along the cost of development to development. So that is what they've done with their fee structure, and you can see some of the things that are involved regarding the complexity of reviewing planning issues. Sometimes it takes 2 staff members, sometimes they have to do meetings with applicants, hold hearings, prepare findings, agreements, things like that. We added in here the civil penalty for short-term rentals. This is for those folks that choose not to get a license. This fee would be, a civil penalty, excuse me, would be assessed when we've given them notice that they are not meeting our laws and not coming down and getting licensed, and they continue to not come down and get licensed. We have not charged a fee yet, or a civil penalty, sorry Randy, I can't get that straight, for said violation, as we really try and work with the homeowner, the property owner, to come into compliance. But if we ran into a case where somebody absolutely refused, then this gives us a tool to hopefully discourage folks from continuing to do that. All right, and then they just put in some of the justifications of their fees based on an hourly rate of staff of $75 an hour. Streets and Engineering is bringing forward to you a new way of doing encroachment permits. So right now, we have folks that call all the time wanting to know if they can put their pod for moving on the city street. And right now, we don't allow it under any code. So this would give a tool for that purpose. If somebody's moving and they need to temporarily park something on our street, this can also be used in case of construction. We can build a fee based on the square footage that they're renting or leasing for that time period. They built in some information there on historic landmarks and the ability to waive the fee if we're moving a historic landmark or building. But that was what they were trying to cure with this new fee structure.
May I ask a question? Along those same lines, during construction of a new building or something, do they pay for the impact on streets or if we have to close off a lane or anything like, same idea? You have to put a crane in the street for a week. Do you-
Currently, I don't know, did we charge for the crane in the street or? Yeah, so that was an individual negotiation.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and the water department took a look at some of their fees, many of which are only a 2.5% increase, but again, we want to get the information out there that we're making those changes and be able to track it. One of the areas that they're increasing 5% is based on the fill stations and how much staff time is being spent on managing that portion. So you can see from there, again, they're using employee time billed at a rate of $47 per hour to help justify their fee. And that is a quick over.
Okay, all right, they care, but they probably doesn't affect them. So the Third Street public mortgage, you can charge $50 overnight. Does that apply to the Second Street one as well?
Second Street mortgage.
Yeah.
That
those-
is not a public dock, and we don't monitor that Second Street dock.
So, but they're not, I mean, we should, but they're not, no one's doing overnight there, or they can't. Is it posted?
I thought
Because that was,
stormwater takes
years
care of
ago, just to tell everyone the story while Bill comes up. So years ago, I got a complaint from someone who used to ride their boat in and go there so they could go have dinner at Hagedorn's. And all of a sudden, they found out all these people from Spokane were basically camping there overnight because it wasn't enforced. So,
So are you talking about the small dock next to Hagedorn's Corporation?
Yeah.
That one's just open for mortgage, and we have to then cite them if they're overnight, so it's difficult
Okay.
to manage. But the one that we're talking about is the big one at Third Street entrance to Tubbs Hill.
okay,
Yeah.
all right, so it doesn't count. Okie dokie. Regarding Memorial Field parking lot, our agreement with the county is that they park there free, or are they going to be affected by these fees?
No, that agreement still is in place. We work with them to get the license plates,
Okay.
or if they have a jury, so that is still working well, and this would not impact that.
Okay, good, thank you. So, when we're talking about Coeur d'Alene garbage and the garbage collection fee increases, it said here that some of the city's commercial rates are currently lower than what CDA garbage is charging. Are those the ones we increased, or are we keeping them lower?
Vonnie went through and was up, I'm sorry, Vonnie.
She's here.
Those are, as you saw, there's dozens and dozens of those commercial rates, and so very, very few of those had been used, but yes, the increase would get us to at least break even or better.
Good. Also, Troy, does CDA garbage always take their 2.5%?
Yeah, with the fuel increases, I'm just thinking back, yeah, come on up.
She comes.
Yeah.
They classically have been raising that annually.
So the contract allows them to go, so they get a 1.5% increase regardless. They can get up to 2.75, and it's based on the producer price index yearly. So if that's higher than 2.75, they get 2.75. If it's lower than the 1.5, they get the 1.5. If it's right in the middle, they get whatever that is. So it's a price index for commodities.
So it's not based on, they don't decide, it's based on that?
Right, yeah, it's in
Okay.
the contract, yeah.
Cool. So we're going to be increasing the rates, and that's going to be, this is going to be just a one-time thing, or are we talking ongoing?
According to the code, anytime we do a 5% increase, we have to have a public hearing, so.
I'm just wondering,
if-
speaking for the future, because we were able to not do it for 10 years. So is the plan that this is going to last us for like another 3-4 years? Just don't sit down.
Well, Vonnie comes up, yeah, come. One of the big variables in here is the cost of recyclables.
Yeah.
It, at one point, was pushing $23,000 per month. They have settled back down to be below 20,000, which is good news on our cash flow projection. We're going to bring you an amendment to that at the next council meeting on that 3-year agreement for recyclables.
Okay.
So it's kind of we're gonna wait and see where it hits, really. So we're trying to get it up enough to make us flush, and then next year we'll revisit it, see how it goes.
Okay, thank
and
you.
Go
I
from
just-
there.
Yeah, I mean, people are used to that not going up, and so I want to know if I got to be prepared to get the phone calls when we hit them every year on that. Okay, so street lighting, again, I'm going to say this, and I've said it before, is that I think that needs to be put in the general fund. I know that would be a tremendous hit for the general fund, but it would be a hit for which I would be willing to take foregone if that is enticing anyone to do it. The loudspeaker thing, Renata, what precipitated that to come in?
We had that request come to council for some sort of open theater truck that would require a loudspeaker permit, and then in reviewing it, realized we don't even have a fee associated with that. So we don't have authority to charge a fee if it's not approved by resolution.
And even if the truck is just parked on the street, it covers that?
If it required amplified sound, it would need a loudspeaker permit,
Okay, cool.
if it's on city-owned property.
Is that gonna affect any of the parades and stuff where people have loudspeakers?
It shouldn't, because under the special event permit, they get to rent out our street, basically.
Okay.
So this is just in addition to that.
Cool. Moving on to special events, street closures and parades. So the increase was 5%. Given the increases that we've given our public safety, can we go to 10% on that?
We can do whatever you'd like to do. I was just proposing a happy medium until we got an opportunity to research those fees more in depth.
Okay.
But if you wanted to propose 10% at this time before the public hearing, I could certainly change that and see.
Well, just
Get any feedback?
have it as an option, and then council can go ahead and decide. I mean, I don't want to dictate, but it's just you put in 5%, maybe we could put in 10%, and then council could decide whether they wanted to do that or not. Farmers market. So I talked to the Emily Downtown Association, and one of their concerns is that the 3-hour thing. Okay, so they know they get it free for 3 hours. Can we add an option so that if it goes over 3 hours, maybe it's $100, something like that? Because that was one of their constraints, was they'd like to run, at least the way I'm remembering it, they'd like to run it longer, but they know that was kind of a thing, and it was like, we don't want the city to get angry with us.
Have they talked to you about that? Are we still charging them the $100? Yeah. Yeah, they're getting charged the low event rate because they go over 3 hours currently.
Oh, they do already? Okay, all right,
Yeah. I think they wanted to increase the number of hours in order to get it for free.
they want to increase the free hours?
Yeah, I think that was where they wanted to go. Yeah.
All right.
So surprised.
Athletic club licensing fee, I don't remember seeing that one before. Do we?
That's for daycares.
Oh, for
So
daycare.
for daycares, yeah, that's all under that childcare section.
Interesting, okay, good.
It's another income though, huh?
Yeah. But the food court licenses, how badly are we enforcing that?
We currently have 2 food courts
Yeah.
that are licensed here. So, we have some exemptions under the mobile vendors that if they have I'll just give you an example, the Rungi Furniture parking lot. They have somebody that comes in for a couple days a week, and then another person comes in for another couple days a week. That doesn't qualify as a food court. It's
Okay.
if they're there full-time, both at the exact same time. So which part of enforcement are you thinking? What do you?
Well, the one that you mentioned, I know it was a long time ago, was this one up at the Silver Lake Mall that was there
Oh.
without
Right.
permits or
Yeah.
something?
They have an interesting situation up there, and we have not dove into it too deeply because of their sea of parking, and then where the
Oh, I see.
property lines are, if they put them in the different property lines, then it creates conflict, but, we have not had
Okay.
complaints on that one yet.
Cool, thank you. Woody asked my tennis court question. Oh, I have an issue, just myself, with the in lieu of parking fees. I don't want to address that when we discuss downtown parking, so I'll put that off for that. Let's see. So you talked about the street encroachment thing, which is really cool for those pods, which I agree with. I think that's great. Could we apply that to people who leave their boats in the street year-round?
Well, there's already a code that says those cannot be parked without a vehicle attached, so that's a police enforcement thing. But are you wanting to promote people to allow them to do that?
No, I just want to fine them.
Yeah, they could already be receiving parking tickets from the police department.
Okay.
So it's an enforcement issue.
All right, cool. Otherwise, yeah, everything else is, They're fees, so I'm good with them, thank you.
I've got a question to the streets and engineering. Chris, this may be civil. Two things I notice. Wintertime, we're plowing snow and people are the landscapers are pushing the snow out of the parking lots onto our street. Do we have anything that looks at that? If I see it, could I call you and you would know who the landscaper is and go get a couple $100?
We would typically call code enforcement and have them go talk to them. We've done it several times on some parking lots along Centennial Trail where they empty the whole parking lot into the Centennial Trail into a 10-foot high snow berm. Yes, and then
So-
they're required to go move that somewhere else.
Code enforcement.
Yep.
How about now that the snow is gone, now the landscapers are blowing their stuff into our streets that we just swept? Anybody chasing that one?
I haven't heard of that yet.
Oh,
but that
don't
would
drive
be a
around
problem.
then, okay? 'Cause- Well, it just seems like, we make the effort to clean something, and in the old days, we didn't have landscapers. Everybody did their own and took care of it. Now it's all business, so looking for shortcuts. Just something maybe to look at or explore, and the only thing that seems to make anybody do anything different is money.
Yeah, I know if you find someone for that, I know that I would stop doing it.
But I guess,
Noted.
Randy, I would ask, is that civil? Where does that fit in, or
It
is
is
it just?
it is a code violation likely for littering. You can't
Oh.
put things in the public street, whether it's leaves or trash or anything else.
Right. I went through a couple of clouds
It's
of
just an
blow.
enforcement thing. If we can't see Dan blowing it into the street, we may not be able to cite him.
That's why you do it at night, folks. And I did report someone who was pushing rocks, actually, from an alley into the street, and I reported him just as they said, and they paid him a visit and told him not to do it, but I did get a wonderful email from the gentleman thanking me in the most profane manner, so, yeah. That's a
Great.
public record.
If I could just add too, that part of presenting to General Services Public Works is to get this information out there, to let the citizens know it's coming. I'd also like to note that we are posting it, the full fee schedule, with the changes to the city's website under the public hearing tab. So anyone can go there and take a look at it and see what may affect them.
And it is a hearing, so people can
As a public comment hearing,
testify.
so they can come and testify, yeah.
Did a great job. There was a lot of moving parts in this one. 10 years, huh?
Thank you.
It
10
seems
years.
like we do this more often than
Oh,
not.
no, we try to do this once a year.
Okay.
This was just a lengthy one that took me a while to get back to with the
Yeah,
other-
those garbage fees, having that, I mean, that was nice.
Oh, that's the one
Good
that
job for
hasn't
staff
changed.
for, having that for 10 years. I mean, I don't think any other city has ever been able to pull that off, so.
Yeah, it's that wheeler and dealer over there. He likes to make money if he can, or save it. I like that. All right, thank you.
Yes, I will make a motion to recommend that council approve the fee amendments and civil penalties as proposed for the Administration, Finance, Municipal Services, Park and Rec, Planning, Streets and Engineering, and Water Departments, and we'll put that on the agenda for a hearing.
Thank you. And second. All right, Chris, welcome. City engineer approval, professional services agreement for construction engineering inspection services and rectangular rapid flashing beacon project. Phew. You guys,
Notice I didn't put any acronyms. Well, HMH is an acronym.
okay.
LTAC.
Yeah, thank you for having me before you today. I was just going to go through this presentation that I've done before to remind you of what this was. We had applied for a grant a couple years ago through the local Highway Technical Assistance Council, and it is based on where there are pedestrian crashes that are type A or fatalities, meaning type A is a serious injury. And so we had to look at these maps, and the black ones are fatalities, the red are type A injuries. We sort those out and look at them to see where we could make some possible improvements to pedestrian safety in the city. We applied for a grant with using this information, and were awarded that grant for several locations, which I'll go through now. This is what we intend to put in. This was at Bryan Elementary a few years ago, but it's the rectangular rapid flashing beacons that alert motorists of pedestrians crossing. First one we're putting in, or these aren't the order we're putting them in, but Hanley Avenue at Lake City High School. You can see here in Google Street View where kids run across the road to the Maverick Station either for lunch or where parents are picking them up. So we'll be improving that crossing there. Along with these improvements are ADA improvements. So we have to bring the ped ramps up to ADA compliance with each of these. Hanley Avenue at Madeline Drive, that's just down the street west of there. Bosanko and Howard. This street, Howard gets a lot more traffic now that that ITD took the signal out at Bosanko. So we get a lot more traffic there. It makes this even more critical. We've gotten a few requests for an RRFB at this location in the past, and now we're making it happen. So this is right behind Fred Meyer. And then Riverstone Drive and BB Boulevard. We actually had 3 chosen for Riverstone Drive, but due to the available funding, we were only able to fund one of them. So we eliminated the one to the west at Bardney and the one to the east at the Starbucks or the Centennial Trail crossing. And we chose the middle one would be a good compromise for that. And then Best Avenue at 6th, we were going to put in an RRFB here with this grant. Bora Elementary really needed the help a couple years ago, so we put it in ahead of time, and we switched that funding so that we'd be putting in the missing sidewalk pieces in this area. So that's what they'll be working on, is filling that gap in the sidewalk. And for this project, Selland Construction was awarded the contract through LTAC, and for that we need an engineering company to manage it, inspect it, and report back to LTAC with all their requirements through their own software and all that kind of stuff. So they went through the RFQ process at LTAC, and HMH Engineers was the chosen one, and so I am asking you to sign a professional services agreement with them for that. Our cost will be 7.34% of the total project budget, which is about just under $700,000.
You got any questions?
Just one very serious question. This company isn't owned by the Chinese Communist Party, is it?
Not to my knowledge.
Very good, thank you.
I have a couple of questions. So these rapid things, when a pedestrian pushes the button, it responds right away.
Correct.
It's always the pedestrian gets the priority over cars coming. Yes?
Well, and it is not a mandatory stop. It is a yield situation. So it's a warning beacon. It's not like a stoplight where somebody would be fined. But if that pedestrian presses the button, the flashing lights come on, and they start to walk, then they have the right of way at that point.
I see the hospital one seems to be, you don't know if it's coming or going, and people are using it all the time. In this grant, when we put it in there, there's ADA compliance. I see them working on Bosanko. The street's torn up, and they got to bring in power. Is that correct?
No, these are solar.
All solar?
Yes.
So we maintain that solar forevermore?
Yes, yes. And we've got, I don't know, maybe 20 of these around town right now. They have batteries on them, and when the batteries get low after a few years, we do have to replace them, but they last quite a few years.
Getting a good run out of them. All right. Yeah, I always tried to figure, I like them, but I always wondered, you see a kid standing next one, you better slow down, right?
Right.
He's just sitting there poking it. No, just kidding. All right. Look for a motion there. Thanks, Chris.
Yep, thank you.
Sure. Let's recommend council approve a professional services agreement with HMH LLC for construction, engineering, and inspection services for rectangular rapid flashing beacons project.
Second.
And I want to put this one on the agenda because I think we need to keep the public informed of what we're doing, and it's a good thing. I know by the high school they've been asking for something there. I mean, it's pretty stupid, so this will help, and I think it makes us look good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else for the agenda, you guys? We're good. Thank you all for coming and being out there, even though you didn't all get to talk to us. We appreciate it. Look to move to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Been moved, and I'm second it. We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.